What's going on, guys? Hit Paul's here, and welcome back to the next part of this tutorial. On this part, we're actually going to get into doing some animation. I want to make a disclaimer that I am by no means any kind of like respected or seasoned animator or anything like that. I don't qualify to work for like Pixar or things like that. I can do technical style animations very well, like machinery and things like that. And game loops I can get away with, but I don't want to claim in any way that I have any formal animation training. I've watched a million videos on it. I am aware of the general theories of, squash and stretch and stuff like that, but I really want to disclaim here that don't look to me for formal animation training. I'm not the guy. I don't have formal training. I just don't want to lead anybody down any wrong roads here or anything like that. So take what I say and what I do here with a grain of salt. I'm just going to go for trying to make it look cool. I mean, I know fundamentally that's what real animators do as well, but I don't want to just believe me. I really don't know what the hell I'm doing. So what I do want to do though here is what I want to have is I've already got a walk cycle, right, and I'm just going to go with it for now. I think it's fine. I mean, I don't see any real reason to not use it. There's, it's doing basically what I need it to do. He's walking, he's got a cool walk cycle, I'd say. The timing of the legs is good, and his body's doing okay. I am gonna fix up the mouth, but what I want to do is I want to give him like a kind of like a wake up animation, meaning that he's been sat there, he's either asleep or dormant or just sniffing around or something, and then when he sees you, I want him to kind of like wake up, kind of startled or excited that you're there, and go into an attack. Now what I'm going to go for, the theory is right here. Okay, now this is from Starship Troopers, and it was one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I know it's a stupid movie, I know the acting's horrible and all that stuff, but I get this movie. Like, I know what the message is, I understand the irony and everything like that, but also what this movie has in it is the best animated giant bug monsters out of any movie in all of friggin' history. It really is awesome. The design is awesome, and the studio that was responsible for this is one of my favorites. It's Phil Tippett Studios. They are just gods amongst men when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I don't want to pine over them or anything like that. But let's just watch this scene a couple of times and get an idea for what's going on. So if you've seen the movie, you know what's about to happen, but essentially they throw a cow in a chamber with one of these giant bugs, and the bug starts out, and you can tell that it had been just idle, it just been sat there, and then it gets all stoked and it jumps up and it just becomes ready. So it goes through this semi-startling animation and then it charges forward, and that's what we're going to try to mimic. So let's just watch it real quick. I have the sound turned off, so hopefully YouTube doesn't mute me and stuff like that. Hopefully enough of this border around here gets me out of them blocking the video or something. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to show you guys the reference of the theory here. I'm not going to mimic it exactly because I don't even have the same creature, but let's just watch it like 2 or 3 times so we can get an idea. Okay, so I'll back it up just a little bit here to about right here, and then we'll play. Okay, so it goes through its kill animation, but let's just take a look at it a few more times. Okay, so you can see that he was down, and then he raises up really high and kind of tilts back, and his mouth opens up. You can see that his body comes down forward. He's reared backwards, so he's kind of like leaning back before he gets enough momentum to start running forward, okay? And then he goes charging forward, and when he charges forward, he's leaning forward. So I don't really have a charge forward yet, I just have a run, okay? So that's essentially what we're going to go for. And like I said, just one more time, this is by far one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever. Even though they threw the censor bar on there, I was always hoping that like the DVD or Blu-ray version would actually remove that censor bar so we could see what was happening. But I think we all know that what's actually happening is nothing, that they never did animate the cow getting torn to shreds. They just blocked it, and they just the animation of this guy, and then they start throwing blood and guts around the room, during, timed for when the thing starts pulling around. So that's the idea of what we're going to do. And so when it comes to doing it here in Max, what we need to do is we have a run cycle animation, and what we want to do is now what we need to do is we need to start considering our loop points, our loop poses, which means whatever pose he's in here at the start and at the end, we need our going from dormant animation to this to end in this same exact pose, okay? And that fortunately is going to be very easy for us because we have the pose right here, and we can add an absolute layer at either frame 0 or 80, and our animation will either start or end at that exact pose. And it's important, even though we do have blending and we're going to utilize blending, it is still a good idea to try to make sure that your loop points in your animations are still terminating on the same position. And it especially helps for things like matinee, or because in matinee, at least right now, we don't have the ability to blend animations. All we can do is play, play, play. So we need to make sure that our poses match up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'll back up one here, and we'll call this Parasite Animations. Okay, so we have a sneak layer that we could throw on there. Right now it's being ignored. If I unignore it, you can see he goes like that. But we're going to have him charge, so or start running in the non-sneaking pose. And yeah, we'll just go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new absolute layer with it at frame 0 because I want to capture that excuse me, as my start pose. Okay, and actually I believe frame 40 is about the same pose except for the mouth, but I want the mouth to be the same too. And again, I am going to fix that. So let's go ahead and throw in an animation absolute layer, and now we've wiped that out, and let's just name this. We'll call this idle to run. Okay, and what we want to do is, first off, I'm going to go control page down and auto key capture that pose right there. So now we can do whatever we want to the animation, and as long as we stop our animation somewhere around frame 70 or 60 or something like that, the keyframing of the whole thing will bring us to the point of where it's all locked in. And remember, I had every bone selected when I locked in the keyframe. If we forget one, we're going to be screwed. So I also need these IK handles to have their animation locked in as well. By the way, I don't know if you guys remember back in when I was creating this, so I was wondering what happened to my IK handles. They got deleted when I deleted all of my little volume snap splines. I grabbed everything, including these, and I went back and watched the video. I was like, oh, that's where I did it. Because sometimes when something goes wrong, I like to go back and watch the video and see where did it go wrong. And that's what happened. So I should have hid these things too, or when I moved and hid the mesh out of the way to get rid of all those little helper things that I created. So now we can pose them. Let's go back to the motion tab here, and what we're going to do is we need to make sure that we stay on auto key during this, because if we don't and I were to move this now, you can see that even here it's lost. Okay, but if I'm on auto key when I do it, you can see that if I move that down, that will raise back up. Okay, so I just want to take all of these guys and zero out the Z on them individually. Some of them are at 0, so that I get his feet on the ground, and then I want to kind of spread them out here like so. I want to pull this down so he's kind of dormant. I actually want to get his body at rest, so let's just tilt him up just a little bit, and we'll go like that. And let's look at him from the front, which is the side, because the way UE4 handles the 0 plane. I kind of thinking that I want that to rest down and then tilt the flaps or his nuts. Oh, I also got to make sure that I am on local on the animation here, and I'll just pull these guys. Let's the K will be the back, and we'll make his nuts They're not his testicles, by the way. They're just little glandy things, but I'm just making a joke. We'll pull these up so that they're sitting on the ground as well. Okay, something like that. We'll pull his head up. That is the lower jaw and the upper jaw. Like that. Let's pull these guys down and back. Alright. And I also want to pull these in so it's a little bit more like a spider at rest. Okay, it's going to be a little hard to get that one to behave because I don't have 3 bones here. Doesn't need to be symmetrical or anything like that. In fact, I don't want it to be symmetrical. In fact, I may want to take these to the back. Now there's one thing I'm not entirely sure of how to do, and that is give myself like a knee control. I wonder if I should put these forward. Like I don't really know how to get this guy to let me control where the kneecap is. I know I can add, does this actually count as IK? Yes, it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give myself bind objects to follow, and you can see here now that, okay, so he's coming here and he's going down. But I'll be able to, I'll have to manually negate the automatic keyframing, the automatic blending between these frames, so I can copy all the frames here and then adjust, and then here and then adjust. Then I don't have to worry about the animation constantly drifting away back to the actual start pose. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here really quick about giving this thing some bind objects. So what I want to do is I'm just going to give myself some spheres for that. So let's go and hit a sphere, and I don't really need it to be too big, and what we're going to do is we're going to align it to this bone here, which will put it at its root, and we'll just go ahead and do its axis as well. Okay, and let's test if this is even going to work. So bind to follow objects, I always thought it was target was what they used to call it. So what happens now if I move that? Okay, nothing. Maybe I'm in the wrong. Let's unbind. Unbind. Maybe I'm in the wrong section here. Because this is IK, so maybe it's this guy. This is still active, so it doesn't look like it's actually allowing it. There used to be targets. Let me just test something really quick. Let's create a bone chain. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of make it spider leg shaped slightly. Just give it some bend. I just want to test and see if I'm doing if I'm even doing the right thing. So we pick the tip, we go to animation, IK solvers. We want the history independent solver, and click here. So now if I move that, we get this. And let's take this sphere and align it here, and then we'll take this and we'll come here to, where do I take this? Start, end. So I think they've moved these things around. Here it is, pick target. So I pick the IK object, then I pick target. And now if I move this, you can see that I see how I can move where it points to. So there's a control page down there, and we'll delete that guy. I don't need that anymore. So did they give me a target? Because it was in a different spot than I was looking. I'm on the same tab, aren't I? Move IK to palm, select limb and match IK and FK. Retargeting. No, that doesn't pull anything out. I was hoping it would give me a target. How do I set that target? Interactive IK, bind to follow object, child to parent, copy, Terminator, and then that was the worst Terminator sound I ever made. So, ignore idle. Do I have any options for display layer transform gizmo? What is that? Oh, interesting. Okay, it may be that I need to look this up. Dope sheet layer ranges, IK target trajectories. There's nothing here. Trajectories I don't want. Trajectories, by the way, if you go into this, it'll actually show the path. Okay, you can actually see that that's the path that this piece is taking. But if you have a whole bunch of things animated and there's a lot of frames, just clicking this right here can lag your system out. Don't freak out if that happens. Shit, let me see, it's in the motion tab where I can pick the target for the solver here, because this guy, bind orientation. See, what I'm not seeing is like right here I have preferred angles and things like that, which isn't going to work right now because it's following this. If I come here, let's not use that. You can see it goes back. What I was able to do with a bone system here is say, hey, you know, preferred this way when you let it go. So you can always animate that if you want to, but it was always just easier to pick a target object. So how the hell do I do that on a cat rig? Bind orientation. Oops. Do I need them all selected? Is this all going to go away if I have multiple selected? No. Just pick that guy. Doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah, that's just picking that object. It's not actually bind. Child to parent, precedence, sliding joint, rotational joint, mirror, paste, auto termination. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. I don't even know how to... I mean, I know I can rotate this thing though, right? I don't know. That feels like a sorry-ass way to do it. Plus, I've just fucking broken everything. So let me go all the way. Hang on. What the f... God damn it. When did this change back? Oh, it max crashed, so I cleared all the preferences. Fuck. Alright, so let's go back to here and we'll reset them. Okay. So we need to add a new absolute layer. So yeah, we're just going to animate it by hand. I mean, I really wanted to be able to have an object that moves it around like I could in Bones, but I don't think you get that anymore. I don't see it. If somebody knows, please let me know, and I'll start utilizing that in the future. I really don't know what the hell's going on. So control page down, and let's include the IKs. And let's key that. Then we'll key at the very beginning, and then we'll go back to zeroing all these guys out. So sorry for the redo here, but I really did want to actually have that ability, but oh well. Okay, so front. Take his testicles and move them up. So again, I'm just folding all this stuff up. .2016 does have that super handy ability now to highlight what you're going to select. It's really quite nice. Okay, so the ground contact is good. Pull these back. Oh, I must have used the wrong axis there. We'll pull that back. And that back. We'll pull that to the front. And that to the front. Okay, and then we'll just rotate this. Let's control page down. Let's hit Alt X. And what that does is just makes it invisible. Or not invisible, but ghosted. And it should help us avoid a little bit of the pass through on it, from his limbs to the through the body. Okay, and it's about there. And we'll pull these guys down. Okay, so that's a pretty alright starting pose, I think. It looks pretty creepy, like a spider at rest, waiting. Just sat there waiting for something to, you know, walk into his net. So, what I'm going to do is, control page down, I'm actually going to make a, like, all keyframe thing. I know I could hit control A, but I really don't want to put a bunch of keyframes on the mesh, even though I can delete them later. Let's actually just create a selection set instead, and it'll be something that we can drop down up here. So we'll call this all controls. Okay, and we just click. And now if I come here, I'll have all controls, and I can always drop that down. So we'll slap a keyframe just in case, and then what we'll do is we'll take that to frame 10. So we wait, we're still not ready yet. So at up till frame 10, what we're going to do is we're just going to have him kind of look up, and he'll move back just a little bit and up just a hair. Okay, so he's kind of like, huh? Okay, and then we're going to spring him into life. So let's get the controls again. I'm probably going to end up going to control A, by the way. It's just faster. And we'll take these and we'll move them here. Okay, so we just take everything, and now we want to kind of sling him up. Probably take him like that. And let's pull his butt up. And let's fan these guys out a little bit. Okay, so we kind of want him to do like this whole, just like slightly spazzy, startling kind of animation. And remember, the less keyframes in between. Remember, keyframes are like on a speed thing. Okay, so he's very unnatural right now in where his legs are. So I think, so if we play that, so he slings up, whack. All right, but before we do that, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start spreading out his legs. Okay, so what I do is I like where I want the leg to be and where I want it to start. So right now it's sliding, so I've moved it laterally, okay, or like across the ground, and then I want to lift it up so that it you know, he steps it there. Okay, and then The next one is going to do the same thing. I need to get rid of this keyframe for now. We're going to move this one out. Okay, and then again, right here, we raise it up. Now I know that's passing his leg through, so let's fix that. I don't think I can rotate it down. It won't let me rotate it down because this is only a 3-bone joint, or a 2-bone joint. It can become kind of difficult. So he moves one leg, then he moves the other leg. And then all the legs are starting to move. So let's get our selection set real quick, and we'll just throw that out forward so it freezes there for a few. Okay, so his legs walk. But why is this one coming back? So that one goes there. Oh, it's because I need to copy that keyframe. So there we go. So he's pushing himself up. So he goes up. And then what we're going to do is over the course of the next, say, 10 frames, I'm going to copy this guy here. And now we'll move this thing down and back. Or should we go up? It's time to open his mouth. That is the lower jaw. Kind of want these guys to be a little bit spread out, so I'm going to have to take care of that here. So this leg is actually going to go back and out, and again we want it to step and not slide, so we move it up halfway through. Okay, and we don't forget to move it over here to our anchor point. We're going to have him bounce like twice. So this one, we'll bring that out. Not trying to be symmetrical about any of it. In fact, I'm trying to fight symmetrized. Okay, so these are, goes up. Let's open those. Spread them out. Okay, let's get all controls here. So that's the pose that we're at. So let's just dupe that forward. And then he starts to go back to where he's going to run, but we're not ready for that yet. This leg is resetting itself. This foot here, from here to here. So we need to bring that forward. Well, I hold shift every time I dupe these, by the way. You guys should know that now, hopefully. Shift in Max is copy. It's usually Alt and everything else. Okay, let's give it a play. It's probably running a little slow. And it's a little snappy here with the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to slow this part down. And at this point, So I kind of, because I want him to take this step backwards. Okay, so that's where he's rearing up. And then we need to start getting him to go like this. Okay, so what we need is to basically just fix his sliding points, and then we can add the minor details like his little fins fluttering and stuff like that when he starts getting all super pissed. Okay, I do notice that these are passing through his legs. Well, we can fix all that stuff up after when we go into like the detail mode. So I don't know if I like this yet. So he takes one step, then he takes another. It's not too bad. Let's just play it a few times, let it play through. Okay, one of the other things that I want to have happen is his mouth stays open. He's hungry. He's coming for you, and that's gonna actually persist pretty late in the whole game. Then when he goes forward, then he starts to go to his run and just chomps that down. And we'll do a little bit of like rolling and twisting where he kind of shakes his head and stuff like that, but we're not there yet. Let's just get the global movement done. And I hopefully you guys aren't bored of looking at it over and over and over again, because I need to do this to kind of just keep getting a feel for it, keep planning as I'm going. Okay, so we do know that this first leg needs to come up, and that at the end these legs need to walk into their current positions. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards now. Okay, so this leg needs to go really far forward, and this leg needs to come up. So what we need to do is I'm going to take here, keyframe it, I'm going to pull it back so it happens earlier. And then I'm going to raise it up. Oh shit. I didn't realize I had them all selected. Let me undo. Until this keyframe goes away. Okay, so just this leg is all I'm worried about right now. So we're going to take this frame and we're going to pull this back. So that's where it's going to end up. Okay, and then halfway through we're going to raise it up. And that's too far. So let's go ahead and dupe that here. And at this frame we'll take 2 steps instead. Okay, which means I need to get rid of this frame, and then I can pop that up. Okay, then we're going to lock this one in. Actually, let's move that 10 more up, move that there, and we need to move it because we want him to lock that foot in for a second, then it moves forward and up. Okay, so step, hold, step. Okay, so step, hold, step. Alright. Now we want to do the opposite here. Okay, so this one's still locked. As it comes down, the first one steps, so I need this one to hold, so we just dupe that. Okay, and when it does go forward, it doesn't actually go forward that much, so we'll just take his next and final step with that foot here by moving that keyframe back, coming here, and just raising it up. Okay, so step, step, step. Alright, there we go. Okay, now we need to do the same thing to this guy. So we're actually going to take this one 5 frames in advance. To offset it by 1. So halfway through this one's step, so you can see this one's raised up, this one's going to start. So from start to end, it doesn't move that much, so we're good to just take the one step. Okay, I just want to fix these little arms. I want to delay when the arms come sideways and down. So I'm going to take these keyframes, hold shift and dupe them here so that it's up. And in fact, I'm going to pull them up just a little bit. Up and out. So he's kind of like, what's up? So spring, and in fact, let's grab that one too. Let's dupe that so it stays there for a second. And then we'll pull it out even more and back to make room for the leg. So we don't want anything crossing over. We gotta have some standards, even though we're just making a stupid ass little kids video game. Dumbass kids wasting their goddamn time. Should be out spinning sticks. Alright, so let's keep going. And so I kinda want him to hold this whole notion right here for a little bit longer, where he's planted and rearing back. I kinda wanna take that and extend it. I believe there is actually a way to retime your entire animation, but I'd have to look that up, because I always just do it by adjusting each and every keyframe, which isn't necessarily a good thing. So he goes and then he should be going right into his other animation. Now I don't have you know, 4 or 3 pairs of legs, so I can't exactly rear him up. All of that's going to be in his in his body. That's the best I can do. Okay, so right here the body just kind of goes straight from this to here. So what I'm going to do is pull it down, and as he comes forward, I want him to come up and then settle. Maybe that's too much. And he comes down. If I really wanted to, I could go halfway here and bring him down a little bit more so he actually comes up. That might be too bouncy, too many ups and downs, we'll see. Yeah, it's too many ups and downs. Alright, let's there's this rotation here is also entirely too fast and much. So I'm going to cut that in half, and I'm going to do that by taking a keyframe where it is half, and then I'm just going to replace it where it's full. And now let's worry about this guy real quick. So as he comes up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that down. the front here. Make sure I don't pass it through the ground. Or through its own armor. Alright, and we'll give that a play. Let's kill looping. We're in full-time, real-time, active viewport. Okay. And again, that is the pose that we need. So I need to pause really quick. I'll be right back. I'll let this little whining bitch out. Sorry about that. You know how dogs are. Whenever they hear like a utensil hit a plate, they think it's time for them to get food. And it's funny because it never is. Don't feed them human food, yet somehow they always think that it's their time. Actually, let me deselect so I get a little bit better idea. I don't know, it feels a little bit less than enthusiastic. But he doesn't have a lot of motion going on in him yet, so... And he's all very straight right now. So what I'm going to do is do a little bit of adjusting. So as he lifts that leg up, he's going to put a little bit more of his weight on this side, just so slightly. And then he's going to go to the other side, very slightly. It looks good like when I time it like this, like I can be like, oh, he's going, you know, kind of slow, and then he goes rah, and then he comes over here, and then he goes rah, and then he goes forward. Like when I'm controlling the speed of the thing, I can get it to play and it feels good, but when it plays through, it feels very, very stiff, very linear. It's not bad, but it's not something I'm proud of yet. So let's make it something we're proud of. Alright. So let's work on these little hands here because they're... my mouse. Sorry about that. Piece of shit. My mouse is dying. So what I'm going to do is go boom and give it a little bit of flutter. And then just dupe that out. So we get a little bit of flutter in those. Very subtle. In fact, maybe a little bit too subtle. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's flutter these guys. I have a feeling that if I rotate these, they're going the same direction, and they are. So we can only do one side at a time here. Okay, so when this comes up, keyframe, keyframe, keyframe. Let's go. We'll spread that one out just a little bit. And then with these selected, we'll just dupe, dupe. Okay, so those flutter. And boom, boom, and keyframe and keyframe. Then we come here, pull that forward, that one down just a little bit, back, spread them out a little bit, and then we get them both, and we dupe this to the flutter point. Alright, his head, as he comes forward, so he's kind of spazzing out. It doesn't look too bad. Because he is going to immediately start running after this. It's not like he's going to freeze in that pose like we're seeing. Gotta be slightly careful here. I don't want to go back too far to pass him through the armor. It's okay for it to happen just a little bit, but as long as from like the front it doesn't look like it's passing through. Which I know it's kind of hard to see. It's passing through quite a bit though, so maybe I'm thinking that here it's already gone back a little bit too much. And then we'll say about halfway through that, I think the body comes down too much right there. I think you should be a little bit more forward too. Let's play it again. It's not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. I'm kind of thinking of doing the head tilt thing a little bit faster. So let's just tighten up these keyframes here. And let's have him do it for longer. So he's a little bit more spastic. And then let's do a little bit more. Let's have the body go along with that just a little bit more. Very slight. Just a little bit more spaz motion in there. Okay, as that goes up, what I'm going to do is lock in some keyframes here and give his butt just a little bit of flutter too. So he's really waving his tail. I actually don't want to bring it down. So let's see, it went to the left, then to the right, and then it goes back to the middle. Let's go to the left, to the right, back to the left. Then we can have it come down as he starts to go forward. In fact, let's move it more down. And it comes back up. Alright, let's take a look at that. Head feels a little weird, I think. It's when it comes up right here that I don't like. It's a little spazzy. Let's go to the curve editor and calm it down just a little bit. If we hold control, we don't change the if we go left and right, we can't change the timing. I'll just get rid of that particular keyframe. This is a quicker way to adjust the amounts that happen here. And I'll smooth these out just a little bit. In fact, I don't need any of those. Let's see. That feels better. If I'm just looking at his mouth, what is his mouth doing? That feels pretty angry, I suppose. I can always take this way up here, and it gives us a little bit more room. Really is important to just keep playing it and playing it and playing it, and just kind of look, just take a step back, look at the whole silhouette. How does it feel like the whole thing's moving? I feel like this has got this too quick of a jerk. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to jerk it first so the eye gets used to it moving. And I'm going to kill this keyframe so it moves with the course of a... Yeah, it feels better. And look at it from every angle. So I think I like it. I think I like it. And like I said, I'm no Pixar animator and I'm no Phil Tippett. So we can export now with this animation in place. Okay, and let's, if we just go, well, let's just go ahead and export that. And we'll call this Anim Parasite Wake. Or startled. Nah, we'll just say wake. Okay. And then we can name this wake up. And we can always say ignore, and he goes right back to running. Let's go back to looping. And let's turn off auto key. Let's not ignore that. So that's kind of what happens. Goes, zhoosh. I'm timing this myself. Now we can get a better feel for it, I think, if we go to the motion layer, come here, and we tell him to walk on a line. Get ready to hit ignore here. It's hard for me to time. Can make him go faster, obviously, but because if we go right here and I say ignore, well, it'll put him forward. Let's put him back on walk on spot. If I go to the end, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. If I go to ignore, there's no difference here between those last frames, so that's going to be fine for now. Okay, I think we're good. Let's get it into UE4. Oops, I didn't have it open before I started recording. Forgot to do that. I think we're okay. So I need 1 second here. A little shit. Oh, Shadowplay, how you vex me without your ability to pause. I came to the conclusion that I'm just being a demanding prick by expecting that NVIDIA would give you the ability to pause in Shadowplay, because the fact that Shadowplay records using your GPU probably means that it can't feasibly pause the recording, because like some kind of buffer will get lost or something. And that when it comes back, it won't be able to hold the file in place or something. I still feel like they should focus on that if they want this to be a serious tool, but okay. So we get to wait. Sorry, but we do. So we are, let's see, the other animation that we're going to do is an attack animation. I'm just going to test this in UE4, and then I'm going to end the video. So we'll do the, I'll try to do 1 animation per video, or 2 depending on how quick and easy they were. But we're going to need him to jump, we're going to need him to attack, and all that stuff. So the one thing I didn't do that I'm not sure of, and this is actually kind of an experiment, I thought about this last night, is I never gave it a root bone that doesn't move. And I usually do that. I usually anchor a root bone at his pivot point, and let that be the root. See, I have B thorax, but I don't have B underscore root. The thorax is acting as the root. Really doesn't matter what the name is, but we may need to add a root bone, and if we do that, we're going to need to redo the skeletal mesh and probably re-export the animations. But again, we can export these things within seconds, right? Just ignore. Did I just crash? No. So I can do this version. I can bring the sneak back in if I want to. Same version, you know, can do whatever we want for the most part. Sneak may need, you know, we may want to make the sneak animation be slower, so he's moving a little bit slower. Alright, here we go. It's finally open. So parasite anims and parasite wake. And we pick the skeleton and import. That should be all we needed to do. Let that thumbnail generate, and then he plays. And that's pretty much what we made. That front right leg, the thing just kind of goes real slow. I don't like it. Let's fix that and then we're good to go. Alright, so let's go back to the wake up. Let's turn sneak off. Ignore. It doesn't really matter because this one's an absolute layer. And we'll unignore that. And let's just fix this guy here. So what we're going to do is so that takes a step there. So we're going to have this one take a step after that. Takes a step. And let me get rid of that. Dupe that. Just going to move it out a little bit. So I'm going to have him take a step and then he'll re-lift his leg when he's ready to go. And we need him to hold that till there. Actually, till there, because we lift at the 5. Remember, it's plant, plant, lift. Okay, so it's in its position, and then halfway through that. We always do the lift afterwards, and the reason is because we need the lateral motion to be smooth, to be a constant curve, and then we need the Z to go up, down, right, to make this step. I feel like his body is coming forward a little bit too soon. So let's adjust its X position. Oops. I saw C and I went for it. Clone. No, I could, damn it, curve editor. I saw C and went for it again. Okay, so the X position here, see how it's really coming to rest very soon here? So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually have it kind of sling into rest, and we're not going to bring it back as far anymore. There we go. Let's get a better feel for that. Yeah, I think that's going to be better because it will and then get that forward momentum going instead of slowing down. Because remember, he's going straight into running forward, so we need that to transition good. It's kind of difficult to pre-envision that ahead of time, to foresee what's going to happen when he starts animating forward, but we'll have a little bit of blend and we'll see what we can do. So we'll go with that. I think I like that. So again, we select the hub, control page down, export, wake, yes, okay, come here, go back to the content browser, right click, re-import, then we come back here and get out of here. This rear leg is not doing what I like at all. Right here, it's too much forward. There's too much forwardness there. I think that rear leg needs to hang back a little bit longer. See how it steps, it waits. It only waits for a very short period of time between here and here. I'm looking at this leg right here. It's not waiting around long enough. And then this right here is I don't like that pose at all, with the two legs nearly together pointing back, and a lot of the animation's still left to go. So we're going to delay that leg here. What we're going to do, because here and here it's in the same spot, so we're actually just going to move that to the end. And then it's right as he starts to go. Okay, and that gives us a better pose right here. Whereas before, this leg was all the way forward already. It looked very, very weird. Okay, so it does sometimes take me looking at it in two different locations, like UE4, to see these kinds of things. But they're very simple fixes. Oh shit. Shit. I'm frozen. Shit. There we go. Thank fucking God. Sorry. Yeah, already much better than it was at that pose. Okay, so I think I like it. Hopefully you guys like it. I'm just going to save the scene just in case everything goes horribly wrong. So we've got that animation. We're not ready to put him into motion yet. We're not ready to give him any behavior yet, like code-wise. That's going to be pretty much an entirely new part of the series. I'm just going to try to pre-envision as many animations as I think that I'm going to need. I know I need him to attack. I know I need him to get... Well, I actually don't need him to get hit because you are not going to be able to hurt this guy. But I may also want to do... here's what I'm going to do. In the next, maybe not the next video, but in one of these videos. Let's ignore this guy. While he's running, I want him to have, so I've got, it's a general walk cycle, and then I've got the sneak one where he's lowered down, which I'm probably going to slow down or adjust. But I also want to have one where he's like right on your tail and he's about to attack. So while he's running, he's going to get a little bit more reared up, and he's going to be fanned out a little bit more excited with his mouth is going to be a little bit more open. See, right now he's not really chasing you. I'm actually going to get rid of his the mouth animation here on this. At the very least, going to lower it significantly. Oh shit. I'm in the wrong animation. That's on this one. See? It snaps shut too fast, that's for sure. And what I'm going to do here is just have it go a little over so that there's a little bit more movement in there. Gonna move this back some, and I'm gonna copy that keyframe and do the same thing. Just close it a little bit extra. It feels better. I don't know if these guys, yeah, these guys are under control of the motion layer, so if I really want to adjust these, I need to throw a local adjustment layer on there, and I can call that like feeler adjustment run or something, so I know where it lies in my system. So I like that better with the mouth. So let's go run, yes, okay, and then we come back to UE4. See how quickly we can make adjustments to what we want, and we just re-import until we start liking these things a little bit better. My God, that's funny. I'm not entirely sure why that happened. Oh, because I didn't select all. That was funny. Alright, so there we go, I should fix that. Get the fuck off my screen. There we go. Mouth feels a little bit more toned back, not so snappy and not so computer generated. A little bit smoother. Giving it that just little bit of overbite helps. It slams shut, but then it, closes just a little bit more, a little bit slower. So it eases out. Okay, so let's just let's take a look at him really quick. And take a look at this guy again. Gotta fix his mouth here, which in fact is actually already done. Just need to export it. Can't click while that goddamn thing is fading out. There we There we go. See, the mouth is much better now. It does pass his jaw through the ground some at one point. Right there. So we may need to fix that depending on how the geometry of the map goes. I mean, we're not going to be able to avoid him passing through stuff like at all, like really, because he's gonna, if he ends up going up to a slope or something, his head's gonna go right through it until he starts curving up. There's nothing we can do about it unless we go in and add like a hell of a lot of math. So we're gonna save, so we're safe, and save, and then I'm gonna end the video. So this is HitPause signing off. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys find this interesting and entertaining. I do enjoy doing this stuff. I don't enjoy animating as much as I do modeling and painting and actually doing blueprint stuff, to be honest. I do like it, but I don't love it. I feel the reason I don't like it that much is because I'm kind of out of my element here, because I'm not an expert at this, and I know it's, you know, it's always good to get better at stuff, and it's good to practice, and I do know that, but I sometimes feel like I'm like never learning anything new. I'm just like faking everything. I mean, that's what I did here. I really did fake just about everything, but I know that the fundamental theories are there. So anyways, HitPause signing off. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for the support. Love you guys, and bye-bye.